The first point where you said, you just mentioned that you find it difficult when you say that I'm pro-life, but it's hard to say that to someone else. If you took sort of any other scenario where we had something that was wrong, we would generally think it's okay to say that that thing is wrong. You know, so if someone starts mugging me outside, I really hope that all of you would stop that person mugging me, right? So there are plenty of situations where we recognise something is wrong, so we feel okay, and in fact it's right for us to intervene or to say you shouldn't do this and do what we can. But you're right, there are very sort of real needs that have to be met, and I actually would probably say that if abortion was made illegal overnight and tomorrow, it would drastically reduce the number, because the law does affect how people think things are right or wrong, or it would drastically affect the number. But I agree there would still be lots and lots of problems that have to be addressed to mean that people are really supported. I mean, the charity that I work for, Life, like you say, yeah, we've got a number of houses and we offer practical support for people. We'd love to be able to do much more. I mean, our budget is 3 million compared to BPAS's 30 million. So, you know, to be pro-life and truly supportive of people requires sacrifice on our part, and really doing what we can to reach out to help people. Yeah, it is demanding. You can't just sit back and be like, yeah, I'm pro-life, cool. Yeah.
So, very quickly, I mean, yes, the Right to Life movement does lots of things to help women who are in unplanned pregnancy and other people like that. You're right, it doesn't get heard about enough, but that's why it should be championed more. The only other thing I'll say is, look, if someone said to you, I'm against slavery, but I think people should have the choice to own slaves, you wouldn't think that was a meaningful position. If you are against abortion, if you're anti-abortion, right, which I have no problem as a phrase, I'm anti-abortion. If you're anti-abortion, why? Because you think it's the killing of another human being. But if you think that, then of course you don't think it should be within the law to kill other human beings. So it makes no sense to be against pro-life personally, but not pro-life publicly. You've got to be both. So that's all my only point on that.
Thank you.
This is where there is a really fundamental difficulty in this debate. If you seriously think that having abortion is the morally equivalent of, you know, as Peter was saying, hacking someone to death with a machete and so on, then of course you would think that it was abhorrent. And of course you would think that it was morally wrong. You know, frankly, I have to say that, you know, I run an organisation that is responsible for carrying out around 6,000 abortions a month. If I thought Peter was responsible for hacking to death with a machete 6,000 people a month, I would not be sitting on this platform with him. Which is one of the reasons why I think it's very difficult to take I really believe that the embryo has got the same equivalence, the same life equivalence as those of us in this room. Because if you genuinely believe that, this would not be an academic debate. And that's one of the things that I find quite troubling, because I think that on a rhetorical level, it's very easy for the people who want to present themselves as being anti-abortion and pro-life as having the kind of the moral high ground on this. But actually what you have to remember is with every abortion that takes place, it's not an abstract academic issue for the woman who's concerned. Every woman makes a decision knowing about her life circumstances, and many of them will be saying, oh, if it were only this, I would make a different decision. But you know, we can't snap our fingers and make people's lives entirely different. We can't make the husband stay. We can't make the boyfriend want the baby. Even if you can offer the £250, you can't support the woman for the rest of her life. These decisions are rarely down to one thing. So what I'm saying is kind of get real about it. You know, my challenge that I would put to you is, seriously, the 5-day embryo you know, and Joe, are they, you know, if you were making a choice between those two lives, are you seriously telling me that there is a balance? Because I absolutely don't believe you. I just think it's a kind of rhetoric.